The old man stared at the unopened electricity bill on the table, as if it were a final warning from life itself. Rain tapped against the small window of his one-room house. The roof leaked in one corner, and a steel bucket caught the drops with a slow, mocking rhythm. Plink, plink, plink. In the faded yellow light, everything looked tired. The cracked walls, the wooden chair with one leg repaired twice, the pair of worn factory boots resting near the door like they still had a job to do. Hariram had worked 38 years in the same factory. 38 years of smoke, heat, iron dust, and machines so loud they swallowed men's voices whole. He had given his back, his hands, his hearing, and most of his youth to that place. Every morning before sunrise, he had walked through those giant gates with a metal lunchbox in one hand and responsibility in the other. He had worked overtime when his wife fell sick. He had worked Sundays when school fees were due. He had worked with fever, with swollen knees, with an injured wrist wrapped in cloth. And then one day, they gave him a garland, a cheap watch, and a handshake. "Your service has been valuable," the manager had said without looking into his eyes. That was retirement. After that, the days became too long. His wife had already been gone for 5 years. His son had moved to another city, promising to call more often than he did. The factory no longer needed him. The world no longer waited for him. He woke up every morning before dawn out of habit, then sat in silence, listening to the emptiness breathe around him. At first, he tried to keep busy. He repaired old stools, cleaned the lane outside, visited the tea stall. But men there only talked about politics, inflation, and whose children had forgotten them. He came home feeling heavier each time. One evening, he saw a boy sitting under the streetlight outside his house, a notebook on his knees. The boy was about 10. Thin shoulders, torn slippers. His lips moved as he tried to read a page in English, stumbling over every second word. Hariram watched him for a while. Then he stepped outside. "What are you doing here?" The boy jumped up. "Studying." "In this rain?" "There's no light at home," the boy said softly. Power got cut. Hariram looked at the notebook. Math problems. A paragraph in broken English. The kind of pages that carry both hope and humiliation. "What class?" "Fifth." "Can you solve this?" Hariram pointed to a division problem. The boy lowered his eyes. "No." Hariram was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Come inside." That was how it began. The next day, the boy came back. Then he brought his younger sister. A week later, 2 more children from the lane appeared at Hariram's door, carrying notebooks pressed to their chests like permissions to dream. His house was too small, but he made space. He wiped the old table clean, brought out the only good chair for the smallest child, used empty cement sacks as floor mats. He found old textbooks in a scrap shop and stitched them together with thread. He wrote the alphabet on cardboard from discarded boxes. He sharpened used pencils with a blade and lined them in a steel glass. By the second month, there were 11 children. They came barefoot, half asleep, hungry, restless, shy. He taught them after sunset because most of them worked during the day, helping their mothers, carrying water, watching younger siblings, sometimes selling vegetables at the market. He taught them numbers first, then words, then sentences. He taught them how to sit with focus, how to ask questions, how to believe that confusion was not stupidity. At first, the children were scared of him. His face was hard from factory life, his voice rough. One evening, a girl named Soni began to cry because she couldn't read a passage aloud. The other children giggled. Hariram hit the table with his palm. Everyone froze. "No one laughs here," he said. "Not at mistakes. Mistakes are proof you are trying." Soni wiped her tears with the back of her hand. He bent down beside her, his voice softening. "Read slowly. Even if your voice shakes, read." She looked at him with frightened eyes. "Go on," he said. Courage does not always sound brave. From that day on, the children trusted him. But the world around them did not become kinder overnight. Sometimes parents pulled their kids away. Study won't fill our stomachs, they said. Sometimes children stopped coming because they had to work. Sometimes Hariram himself doubted what he was doing. He had no teacher's degree. He was just a retired factory worker with a stiff back and a room that smelled of damp clothes and old books. One winter night, after all the children had left, he sat alone, rubbing his knees. The pain was sharp that evening. His hands trembled. He thought about the medicines he had stopped buying to save money. He thought about the unpaid bills. He thought about how foolish this all might be. His son called that same night. "You're teaching kids for free?" his son said, irritation dripping from every word. "Why? You can barely manage yourself. At this age, you should rest." Hariram looked around the room. Chalk dust on the floor, tiny handwriting in the margins of old newspapers. A half-finished drawing of the solar system pinned crookedly to the wall. "Rest?" he said quietly. "I rested for 6 months. It nearly killed me." His son went silent. Hariram continued. "When those children knock on the door, this house starts breathing." He kept going. Years passed. The lane changed slowly. Children who once couldn't spell their names began helping younger ones with homework. Some passed board exams. One got a scholarship. Another became the first girl in her family to finish school. Parents who had once mocked him now folded their hands in gratitude when report cards came home with good marks. Among those children was the same boy from under the streetlight. His name was Imran. Imran was not the brightest in the beginning, but he had something rarer: hunger. Not for food, though there had been plenty of nights when that was also true. Hunger to rise. Hunger to prove that poverty was not the final chapter. He studied with a fever once, shivering under a thin shawl, refusing to go home. Hariram touched his forehead. "You're burning." Imran looked up, eyes red but stubborn. "If I stop now, I'll fall behind." Hariram stared at him for a long second. Then he placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Listen to me," he said. "You are not racing anyone. You are building yourself, brick by brick. Don't quit, but don't break." Imran never forgot that. When he was in high school, he told Hariram almost in a whisper, "Masterji, I want to become a doctor." It sounded impossible in that tiny room. Outside, dogs barked in the alley. A pressure cooker hissed in some distant kitchen. A train groaned far away. Hariram looked at the boy's thin face, his anxious eyes, his fingers ink-stained and cracked from helping at his uncle's shop. Then he smiled. "Good," he said. "Let your dream be so big it scares you." The road was brutal. Entrance exams, rejections, missed chances, nights without sleep. Days when Imran wanted to give up and earn money instead. Days when shame whispered that boys from lanes like theirs were not made for white coats and stethoscopes. Each time he returned defeated, Hariram sat him down and made tea so weak it was almost hot water. Then he would say, "You think pain means stop? No, sometimes pain means you are finally climbing." Imran kept climbing, and then one day, after years of struggle, he made it into medical college. The entire lane celebrated, as if one of their own had escaped a fire. Hariram did not say much that evening. He simply sat in his doorway watching the children run around Imran, shouting, laughing, touching his bag as though success could be passed from cloth to skin. But when Imran bent to touch his feet, Hariram's eyes filled. "You did it, Masterji," Imran said. Hariram shook his head. "No, son, you did." Time moved again. Hariram grew older, slower. His cough deepened. The stairs became harder. His vision blurred in one eye. Still, he taught whoever came. Fewer hours now, but with the same care. Then one summer afternoon, he collapsed while reaching for a kettle. The neighbor's boy found him on the floor. By evening, he was on a hospital bed under white lights, staring at a ceiling too clean to trust. His chest felt tight. Tubes ran from his arm. The smell of antiseptic burned his nose. Fear returned after many years. Not fear of death. He had made peace with that. Fear of leaving quietly. Fear that his life had shrunk again into helplessness. He heard footsteps outside. Fast. Urgent. Then the door opened. A man in a white coat walked in, mask hanging at his neck, stethoscope around his collar. Sharp eyes, steady hands, tired face, familiar voice. Masterji. Hariram blinked. The doctor stepped closer, and suddenly the years melted. He was no longer the polished professional everyone respected. He was the boy from the streetlight, Imran. Hariram's lips trembled. "You," Imran smiled, but his eyes were wet. "Yes, it's me." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Machines beeped softly in the room. Outside, trolleys rolled past. Evening light spilled across the floor. Imran pulled a chair beside the bed and sat down. "You took care of all of us," he said. "Now let me take care of you." Hariram turned his face away, overcome. He had lived long enough to be forgotten, he had thought. But here sat the answer to every unpaid hour, every aching knee, every night he chose to keep the lamp burning for children who had nothing. His voice cracked. "I was just teaching." Imran leaned forward. "No, you were saving lives before I ever learned how." Hariram closed his eyes. And in that moment, the old factory worker understood something beautiful and unbearable at once. The world had tried to measure his worth in wages, retirement papers, and utility bills. But real worth had been sitting on his floor all those years, holding broken pencils. Some people build machines. Some people build buildings. And some people, with tired hands and an unshakable heart, build human beings. That night, as the rain began again outside the hospital window, Hariram looked at the doctor adjusting his blanket and smiled through tears. He had once thought life ended when the factory gate closed behind him. He was wrong. Sometimes your greatest purpose begins the day the world thinks you are finished.